Good morning, and welcome to this morning's service with the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock. I'm the Reverend Israel Bufardi, Associate Minister for Member and Community Engagement here at Shelter Rock, and I'm leading the service this morning with Madison Colquitt, our student minister. And we are coming to you live through the magic of fiber optic cables and the internet, connecting with each other, being with each other in this moment when we need each other most. So this morning, whether you are joining us wrapped up in a blanket, sipping something warm, or just relieved not to have to shovel your way out the door or out of your driveway, we are so glad that you are here with us. We're so glad that you are here with us. Even when we can't be together in person, our community is something that we cultivate across distances, across screens, across whatever life throws our way. That's part of what makes Unitarian Universalism so resilient. Ours is a faith that adapts, that meets the moment with open hearts and open minds, that trusts in the power of people coming together to build something meaningful: community, love, justice. Unitarian Universalism is a faith without creeds or dogma, but it is rich, so rich in shared commitments. Our commitments to justice, to compassion, to spiritual growth, and to creating a world where all can flourish. Our congregation seeks to be a place where we might plant seeds of love, courage, and possibility. And we tend to them together so that they might take root and grow. Our theme this morning is planting seeds, a reminder that even in frozen ground, when conditions aren't perfect, the seeds of justice, resilience, and new life are waiting. They need care, they need time, and they need a community willing to nurture them together. As you watch our service today, know that some parts of our service are prepared in advance, are pre-recorded, while other moments like this one are happening live, held in real time by Madison and me. However this service reaches you today, whether you are watching it today or sometime in the future, know that it is alive with our shared intention, the intention and the care that we put into it by being here together. And so now, as we turn inward and we begin our time of worship, I invite you to take a deep breath, to settle in and to ground yourself and to know that we are having this experience together. And let's begin to plant some seeds together as Madison lights our chalice.
Thank you, Reverend Israel, for that warm welcome. I wish you my own warm and good morning from my home in Astoria. And though we are apart in body on this cold, icy morning, may we be together in spirit and in our choice to gather in community this morning. Our chalice lighting comes from Laura Wallace. As frozen earth holds the determined seed, this sacred space holds our weariness, our worry, our laughter, and our celebration. Let us bring seed and soul into the light of thought, the warmth of community, and the hope of love. Let us see together, hear together, and love together. As Reverend Israel mentioned, we have pre-recorded videos for many of the elements today, and we are grateful to our Penny Lane partners for their support for this virtual service. Please join me in singing our opening hymn, Gather the Spirit. After we sing our hymn, we'll move into our words and song of affirmation.
Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need. This do we affirm and covenant with each other. Be seated. Our reading this morning comes from the Reverend Manish Mishra Marzetti, and it is entitled Desert Flowers. He writes, "Improbably, the wind-blown seed found its way here, to a long, beautiful stretch of land, but one that was hot, dry, and arid. A spark of life resting in an unprepared desert. Quenching life-forgiving sustenance, the rain, comes and goes, even if infrequently, sometimes only a few drops at a time, and the seed begins to take root. Possibility brought alive. But what life is this amidst the harshness? Pocket mice, rattlesnakes, camel spiders, danger and inhospitality lurking everywhere. One chance encounter gone wrong could bring death to the seedling. And yet, somehow, the intrinsic invitation to thrive, to flourish and grow, finds a way, even when it is a struggle. Poking gently up from the cracked, parched desert earth, a beautiful, pink, 5-petaled Phacelia blooms, spectacularly, improbably. We are those wind-blown seeds, the universe's longing for life, for thriving, for beauty, even when it is against the odds.
I dream of a world where man, no other man will scorn, no other man will scorn, where love
each Sunday, we share an opportunity toward living our Unitarian Universalist values in the world by acts of generosity. This month, our offerings provide support for the Liddick House Community Center in Port Washington. Liddick House Community Center is committed to engaging adults, youth, and seniors in a community network that strives to keep families strong, empowered, and connected through opportunities for leadership, self-sufficiency, asset building, and social activities. You are invited to give using the QR code on your order of service, by going to the donation page on the UUCSR website, or by dropping cash or check into the donation box in the main lobby. Please be generous and give as you are able.
Let's take a breath. I know I need to take one. I invite you to close your eyes if that's part of your practice of presence. You may prefer to soften your gaze. Let's take a few breaths together. That even though we are physically apart, we can breathe together here in this virtual space. Today's prayer comes from the Reverend Micah Busey from their Book of Tiny Prayer. This prayer is called For Those Who Could Use Some Grounding. May you pause and check in with the core of your being, that steady, quiet sense inside you that reminds you of all the mess you have made it through, all the wisdom you have gained and now carry inside your own heart, all the strength you have acquired by simply continuing to live each day honestly. And if your core seems shaky, may you reach out to someone who knows your journey, even if only a bit. And may you ask them to offer you a bit of their own steadiness for a moment. Remembering that groundedness is not an unshakable state to hoard when you've got it and lament when you've lost it, but rather a dynamic experience that can and should always be shared. Amen. Who in your life can offer you a bit of steadiness when your core feels shaky, when you feel ungrounded? Who in your life can offer you this steadiness? And because we are in relationship, Who can you offer steadiness to? Another deep breath. I invite you back together to this space to participate in a virtual candle lighting. A video will be shown, and I invite you to light a candle where you are, if that is accessible to you. You may want to light a candle for a joy or a sorrow, for a question or an intention, for yourself or for someone else. And following our candle lighting, we will sing Spirit of Life. I'm recognizing I need to take a drink of water. And so I invite you to do the same. As I was writing this sermon a couple of weeks ago, we were in the midst of an uncharacteristically bitter winter storm. And so it's funny to me that now I get to share it with you during another winter storm. Now, I previously lived in Iowa, so I can handle some winter weather. But my parents, who live in coastal Alabama, had 5 inches of snow, their first real snow since 1993. A palm tree in their backyard with 5 inches of snow is a bizarre sight, for sure. This winter season has felt transformative and at times unsteady for me as we've navigated significant events and unrelenting weather. This season is naturally meant for slowing down, for practicing rest, reflection, and regeneration. And it feels like the opposite is true right now. I was reading a piece from the eco-theologian Betsy Crawford, and she referenced Wendell Berry's poem, February 2nd, 1968. Berry wrote this poem 3 days into the deadly Tet offensive of the Vietnam War. And on that day, he wrote, "In the dark of the moon, in flying snow, in the dead of winter, war spreading, families dying, the world in danger, I walk the rocky hillside sowing clover." In the middle of war, in the dark winter of cold February and on frozen ground, Berry sows seeds. And specifically, he sows seeds of clover, a plant of deep nourishment and renewal. Clover is a member of the legume family, one of the most ancient and largest plant families on Earth. As legumes, clovers fix nitrogen using symbiotic bacteria in their roots and are therefore natural fertilizers for healthy soil. Farmers often use clover in crop rotation to replenish soil that has been depleted of necessary nitrogen. Clover is also a valuable food source for grazing livestock and bees. For these reasons, the domestication of clover caused substantial increases in agricultural productivity and sustainability. On that dark and cold night in the dead of winter, Berry wasn't sowing seeds for his summer table. Berry was sowing a plant specifically used to nourish soil, a plant for the future. Berry was sowing seeds of possibility. The clover that Berry planted that night would eventually germinate when the soil temperature warmed and the seed absorbed the necessary moisture. The clover seed would split into 2, allowing the seed's embryo to emerge, and a root would grow down into the soil to anchor the plant, while the plant's stem would grow upward toward the soil's surface. Underground, the clover develops a more extensive root system to build up energy reserves for reproduction. Then the clover flowers in late spring and early summer to attract pollinators. Once pollinated, seed pods develop and the seeds mature over several weeks, eventually becoming ready for dispersal through wind, animals, and, like Berry, through our own hands. I walk the rocky hillside, Berry writes, sowing clover. Now, the rocky hillside is certainly not the most fertile terrain, nor the easiest to maintain, but clover is adaptive and is able to prosper in a wide variety of soils and climates. Clover, and legumes in general, is able to do this thanks in part to symbiosis, its relationships with other species. Many legumes, including clover, host bacteria in their roots, and the bacteria takes nitrogen out of the air and converts it to a form that is usable to the host plant. The legume acting as a host and the bacteria acting as a provider of usable nitrate form a symbiotic relationship where both benefit. These symbiotic relationships offer us a profound lesson in interdependence, collaboration, and mutual support. Activist and philanthropist Fahad Abrahimi said, "The biggest thing that I've learned from nature is the importance of relationships. An ecosystem isn't just a list of living things, squirrel, tree, bee, flower. It's the set of relationships between those living things that ensures both species' growth and survival. Just as ecosystems depend on the balance of these connections to flourish, we too, in our work in community, are sowing seeds of deep nourishment and renewal when we cultivate relationships." Earlier, I said that farmers plant clover to replenish soil that has been depleted of necessary nitrogen. They do this so that the soil can support a diversity of future crops. They do this for the possibilities of future growth. The relationships we form and nourish in community is like that clover. Our relationships, like the symbiosis between the clover and the soil's bacteria, prepare and sustain our hearts and minds to continue sowing the seeds of possibility, the seeds of necessary change. So at this time, in the dark winter of cold February, even when we are apart and are gathering together in this virtual space, we are like this clover. We have been sown to do the work of this faith. We have been sown to do the work of this congregation, to build a more just and joyful world. And like berry seeds, we will not thrive without the nourishment of our relationships. During these past few weeks, I have felt despair from the unchecked show of authoritarianism and attacks on human liberties. It is in these moments that I am most grateful that I do have nourishing relationships with loved ones who support me. They have grieved with me and challenged me to remain faithful and to remain hopeful. I imagine that there is a diversity of feelings among us. Many folks I've spoken to are scared for their loved ones, for their immigrant and trans siblings and neighbors, and for their own lives. Many folks are feeling forgotten, overwhelmed, angry, heartbroken. I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to hide away from it all, to avoid the discomfort and the anxiety and the grief. Instead, though, I hope that our relationships can sustain us through the discomfort, anxiety, and grief. In his last manuscript, The Dispersion of Seeds, Henry David Thoreau wrote, "I have great faith in a seed. Convince me that you have a seed there, and I am prepared to expect wonders." I have great faith in a seed, and I have great faith in this community and the relationships that you're building and nourishing. In the dark of the moon, in the dead of winter, through unrelenting weather, political unease, and constant change, often grieving, we together walk that rocky hillside, sowing clover, sowing possibility. Amen. Please join me in singing our closing hymn, For All That Is Our Life. I am grateful for you. And I am grateful to have gathered here with you this morning. Through our relationships, through our work together, and through our faith, may we sow seeds of hope, determination, renewal, and possibility. We extinguish our chalice with these words by the Reverend Vanessa Southern. As we extinguish this chalice and go forth, may the stories we tell name the largest truths of what was, of what is, and pull us forward to what should be, as stories were always meant to do. May it be so.